Maserati joined the prestige SUV market a couple of years back with this, the Levante, and they did a pretty good job with it too. But there were a few quibbles, not least the fact that it wasn't that engaging to drive, and the engines wouldn't exactly set your world on fire. But Maserati have listened, and they've stuck a big V8 into it. Promising. The new V8 powers two versions of the Levante, the GTS and the Trofeo. As well as a bucket load of power under the bonnet, the suspension's been retuned, which should hopefully make it more responsive and fun to drive. There have been some visual upgrades as well. The GTS has had its bodywork beefed up a bit, and the Trofeo goes even further by adding carbon fibre bits and big 22-inch alloy wheels. Inside you've got leather and carbon fibre all over the place, and these sport seats to keep you in place if things get a little enthusiastic, although they're not quite as huggy as you might expect. These two cars then are the Levantes for the driving enthusiast. But they are still family SUVs, and they still need to be able to do family SUV things, like carry shopping and children and everything that goes along with them, and they need to be comfortable. Practicality-wise, it's not bad. There's decent space for two adults in the back, but forget about using the middle seat as there's no legroom there. The boot's okay too, and should carry general family essentials or a very satisfying day's shopping. There are cup holders, cubby holes and so on to keep odds and sods, so it'll do the school run or the trip up to see the grandparents with no trouble at all. Some of the materials used are really nice. You can pick and choose from a variety of lovely soft leathers or interesting carbon fibre weaves. But some of the plastics do let it down a bit. When you spend north of £100,000 on a car, you don't expect the buttons to move around in their seats. Overall though, it is still very nice and premium in here. Maserati positions itself as a manufacturer of grand tourers. Sure, its heritage started way back in the day with pure motorsport, but these days it wants to create cars that you can cross continents in, not just hardcore sports cars. So, a hardcore Levante has to tread quite a fine line. It has to be able to give you that hardcore adrenaline rush, but it also has to be comfortable and practical. I am very pleased to say that, based on this first taste, Maserati has absolutely knocked it out of the park. The roads here in northern Italy are not in great nick, but the balance of sharp handling and a comfortable ride is really good. Even in sport mode, with the suspension all stiffened up, it's really pliable and soaks up cracked and rutted roads really nicely. The handling is really impressive. In sports mode, the steering weights up and the throttle sharpens to give you a car that's really engaging when you get the right road. It feels composed and really solid through the bends. The drive is biased towards the rear wheels, which have a limited slip diff on them as well, but the fronts can get involved too if they're needed, which basically means lots of grip and lots of traction. Maybe it lacks that final edge of sharpness that you get in a Porsche Cayenne, but it makes up for it with a glorious soundtrack with a thick and rasping trumpety sound from the exhaust. It's great in the GTS, and it's even better if you select Corsa mode, which is exclusive to the Trofeo. Both these new Levantes have a 3.8 litre twin-turbocharged V8 engine under the bonnet. In the GTS it's got 530 horsepower, and most of the time that feels like a very decent amount. That said, if you floor it going up a steep hill, you'll suddenly realise that the Levante is rather heavy. For an extra 20k, the Trofeo model gives you 580 horsepower and a few extra toys, including Corsa mode and launch control. That extra power lowers the 0 to 62 time from 4.3 seconds to 4.1 seconds. 95% of the time, it's very difficult to notice any difference between the driving experiences of the GTS and the Trofeo. The real differences come if you get the opportunity to push them really hard. Both versions of the V8 Levante get an 8-speed automatic gearbox. It's nice and fast on the upshifts, while there's a slight delay on the downshifts, but you soon get used to it and it doesn't get in the way of your enjoyment. So, why would you go for Maserati's fast SUV rather than one of its rivals? The GTS is around the same price as the Porsche Cayenne Turbo. It's hard to say without driving them back to back, but I suspect that the German car is slightly technically more capable and is definitely better made inside. But it doesn't have the exclusivity or the romance of the Maserati brand, and if you're into your exhaust noise, then the Levante wins that battle as well. The Trofeo is considerably more expensive than the Cayenne, but it is cheaper than other luxury SUVs like the Bentley Bentayga or the forthcoming Aston Martin DBX. While it's not a million years ahead of the GTS, it does add an extra layer of performance, excitement and prestige. Ultimately, what car you end up buying will very much depend on your priorities, but whatever luxury SUV you go for, make sure you check out the Levante V8s before you commit to buy. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment below, let us know what you think of the V8 Levantes. Don't forget to subscribe to the Autotrader YouTube channel. We've got everything you need to help you find your next car.